release foreign national hostages, quote, within a few days. Hasn't said any more details about that, but it's not the first time they've made that promise. We do know, however, that negotiations have been continuing despite the fighting involving not just Israel, not just Hamas, but Egypt and Qatar as well. Clearly, the families of those hostages being held desperate for news as that land incursion goes on. Lindsay?
And what has the reaction been to the refugee camp airstrike there in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, the Pentagon is only saying at this point that it's just seen press reports about that strike on Jabalia, but it is essentially urging Israel, and it says it said this publicly and privately, that civilian safety should be taken into account, and calls it both a moral and a strategic obligation. Lindsay?
Ian Powell for us from Tel Aviv once again. Thanks so much, Ian. The war between Israel and Hamas is fueling hate right here in the U.S. The director of the FBI testified on Capitol Hill that the war has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to an entire new level. Several suspects are now under arrest. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, a suspect accused of being behind the threatening messages to Jewish students at Cornell University is in custody. The FBI investigating a potential hate crime after an online post called for the deaths of Jewish students.
A lot of students don't feel safe on campus anymore.
Authorities are calling this moment one of the more dangerous in recent memory.
The ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole nother level.
The Justice Department on high alert, especially after a 6-year-old Muslim boy was fatally stabbed 26 times, allegedly by his family's landlord, who was angry about what was happening in the Middle East. And warning anti-Semitism is reaching historic levels. In recent days, the FBI arresting suspects they feared would commit violence. This man in Houston allegedly trained with weapons, including assault-style rifles, to possibly commit an attack. The FBI claims Saheb Abu Yash was in direct contact with others who share a radical mindset, studying how to build bombs, and posting online about killing Jewish people. And this man in Las Vegas, accused of leaving disturbing anti-Semitic voicemails at the office of a U.S. Senator. Jonathan Anthony Miller charged with threatening to assault, kidnap, or murder U.S. Senator Jackie Rosen, who is Jewish. One message calling her evil, stating, "We're going to exterminate you."
I'm feeling the same as Jews are feeling all around the world, under attack and under threat.
Pierre Thomas joins us now. Pierre, the FBI recently took a highly unusual step. Tell us about that.
Well, in the wake of the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza, the FBI took the step of putting out public service announcements, urging the public to be on the lookout for terrorists. Lindsay, a source telling me tonight the FBI director does not want the public to panic, but he does want people to be vigilant. Lindsay?
Pierre Thomas for us. Our thanks to you, Pierre. Back in Gaza, dozens are feared dead after an Israeli airstrike hit a densely populated refugee camp in the north. Humanitarian workers are still in the region despite the danger there, including staff from Mercy Corps. Joining us now is Arwa Manaf from the aid organization. Arwa, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us how many members of your staff are still there on the ground in Gaza?
Hi, and thank you for having me. Actually, we have all 70 staff members who have been working for Mercy Corps in Gaza are still in Gaza. No one was able to leave Gaza since the start of this conflict, and no one is still allowed to leave Gaza. And this makes Gaza is a very unique situation, because in normal situations, people who are trapped in such situations are able to leave and flee for safe places. Sadly, in Gaza right now, there's no safe place, and no one can be considered safe at all.
It has become increasingly difficult, we know, to get news out of Gaza because of communication blackouts and because just it's extremely dangerous. What are your people telling you about the situation right now?
One of our staff members dropped me a voice message after I tried to reach out to them to check on them, and he was telling me that he actually had a baby only one day before the start of the conflict, and this was supposed to be the happiest day on their lives, but unfortunately it's turned to be a moment of terror, and they're very worried now about the baby not getting the needed vaccination. And this is only one story out of over 2 million stories of people who are trapped in this conflict, and without ensuring that there is a consistent protection for civilian properties, and there is no urgent ceasefire. Mercy Corps is fearing that the worst is yet to come.